Yeah, hello and welcome to this video coverage for the second game of the World Championship match currently held in New York. Yeah, we have Karjakin playing white, so let's see what happens in game two. Interesting question, what will be the first move? And Karjakin goes with e4, which is his main move, basically from when he was a little kid. But in recent years, he has been a bit more versatile with white playing d4, c4, knight f3. So it wasn't at all clear. I think nowadays most players are very flexible and they adapt to what they expect from their opponent. So if they, let's say, find a particularly great idea in a, let's say, c4 opening, they might play c4 just to get this little thing in that they found. So people are less principled with a couple of lines that they continue to play. But e4 is basically, yeah, going back to the roots for Karjakin. Yeah, Carlsen goes e5. Unsurprisingly, this is his almost exclusive answer when he is facing his peers. He sometimes plays other stuff when he plays weaker opponents or to get a surprise in once in a while. But in the World Championships, you expect e5. Yeah, and we got Ruy Lopez. In the ICC commentary, there was some talk. People expected the move d4 for the Scotch opening. Yes, yeah, the Scotch has been played by Karjakin once in a while, and he has Nepomniachtchi on his team who is a Scotch expert, so that was a possibility. But this is still the main choice. Let's say the Ruy Lopez. Okay, a6. This is not a surprise, but Carlsen chooses a6 or knight f6 for the Berlin, and according to, I don't know, probably opponent or mood or whatever. So here he goes a6. All this is perfectly normal, and yeah, bishop e7 is the start of the absolute main line now of the Ruy. Here white has two main choices: the move rook e1, that's the traditional main line, or d3, which is maybe the modern main line. Rook e1 plays or potentially plays into this variation where black has the marshal attack available here. This is still a headache for white players, and they seek for ways to avoid this marshal attack or marshal gambit. And d3 is one of those possibilities. Yeah, currently, as I said, it's almost the main line on the top level. So d6 played here by Carlsen. White now has to be aware that knight a5 is a threat here. Winning is strong, but getting the Ruy Lopez bishop. So white has to do something about it. He should not play, let's say, something like h3, and then knight a5 will get this important piece that is on a good diagonal. Black gets the bishop pair and is quite happy here. So basically only moves here are c3, a3, those kind of moves. And a3 is played by Karjakin. This is one of the ideas of the early d3, that you're still flexible here with those moves. a3, Carlsen castled, and now knight to c3. Yeah, this is one of the points here, that this is a possibility. The idea is that in some cases white is able to put a knight on d5, which makes yeah, some situations a bit awkward for black. For example, I'm not saying that this is a bad move now, bishop e6. I just want to show the idea. If you have a situation like that, white could play this, and it's not so clear what black should do now. Yeah, he cannot take with the knight due to the fork, and if the bishop, if the bishop takes, this is probably not all that great. Yeah, this knight is offside. Okay, alternatively it could go back, but white is quite happy here with this situation. So there is a point to the knight move. It can sometimes very effectively go to d5. Yeah, Carlsen plays knight a5 here, bishop a2. This bishop has to be preserved, and now bishop e6. Yeah, this is a difference now. Now knight d5 is far less of an option, let's say, because here black can take on d5 and will not give up the bishop pair. Something like this is probably quite okay. So d4 was played here by Karjakin. White, by the way, can take on e6, that's possible. But normally this kind of pawn structure is viewed as okay for black. Yeah, it is possible though, it has been played in Grandmaster games. Yeah, he played d4. This is a more recent idea, just to strike in the center while the knight is out on the edge here. Takes on a2 and rook takes. Looks a bit funny, but rook will return to a1 pretty soon. This is actually the first little interesting situation here in the game. There's been a game in June this year between Topalov and Carlsen, a rapid game, where Carlsen played the move knight to c6, and after d5 went back to b8. Looks a bit weird, but the knight is actually better placed in the future than on a5. Here a later c6 will come and this pawn center will be attacked. Carlsen ultimately won that game in rapid chess against Topalov. However, you can argue that this is maybe not the best continuation knight c6, but rather the move that he played in the game now. He played the move rook to e8, and this seems to be very okay for black. Yeah, the thing is, it looks like e5 is unattended, but white cannot take this pawn in any good way. Like here, if white takes on d8, yeah, black, we can actually take with the bishop if he wants, but this is easily possible, as this is not a pawn that white can hang on for long. And this is now hanging, has to go back, and black will get this. And here in a position like this, of course, it's rather black who's better. He's just more active, and white is a little bit weirdly placed here with the rook on a2. The white can also take here immediately, but it's the same story. The bishop will move. You can go to f8 or d6. Let's say to f8, and it's impossible to hold this. Yeah, something like this is quite awkward. You always get this pawn back. So he did not have to cover e5 with knight c6. Yeah, and now it's Karjakin's turn to show something. Yeah, he plays rook to a1. This is probably unavoidable in the long run. The rook is just too weird on a2. And now knight c4. This is Carlsen's point. He delayed the knight move, and now we can actually go to c4, which is interesting because the knight, I think, has a pretty good spot on b6, looking at a critical square d5. And yeah, what did Karjakin do now? Rook e1, centralize, and Carlsen played the move rook c8. That was not the only move. He also had other options. A move like c5, for example, or c6 also comes to mind, but rook c8 is a very good flexible move. Yeah, it keeps many options open. A move that's quite typical of the Rui is this bishop move, but after a possible bishop g5, this pin is a bit awkward. So he wanted to delay that probably as well. So it's a very good flexible move. Those small little details, they really are what's going on in a game like that. On the surface, not much happens, but yeah, the moves of the best players, they're often just a little bit more precise than the moves of a normal player. I can easily, let's say, this kind of position could easily happen in my games with black, as I play the same line. But I can easily imagine that I would play bishop f8 or something and get into slight problems. And yeah, the best players in the world, they are just a little bit more precise about it. Yeah, rook c8, and now the question is, what can white do in this position? He decided to play the move h3. This is something that, of course, kind of belongs into many Ruy Lopez positions. Sometimes to avoid the pin, but this is not relevant anymore. Here h3 was played probably to to maybe make bishop e3 a little bit less vulnerable to knight g4. To me, this move is slightly mysterious, unless he really didn't know what to do. I mean, you can go b3, there's nothing wrong with that, and now continue from here. I don't know if h3 is really a a necessary move. All in all, I think that black is quite fine here. After the trade of the light squared bishop, I think he should be okay. Yeah, well, h3 was played, h6, typical move here to maybe allow bishop f8 to do this without bishop g5 being an issue. Yeah, and now we had this position. Yeah, Karjakin bishop b2, bishop f8. So we have all those kind of schematic moves in, and now it's time for white to make some kind of decision what to do. And yeah, I was a bit surprised to see Karjakin's move now, because this is basically the same as giving up with the fight for any sort of an advantage. He now took on e5, that's what he did, and usually this is viewed as a concession, trading the d4 against the d6 pawn. It really leads to basically nothing. What he could have done is to just keep the tension with moves like, there are not that many actually, probably a queen move like queen d2 or queen d3, one of those, and just then see what happens. I mean, probably it's an equal position, but it is a little bit more play left on the board. I don't know what black will do. He can think about c5 or play a waiting move like this, or it can go c6. I mean, black is pretty flexible here. But that would be the way to play, let's say. After the trade, this position is very symmetrical, as is quite obvious. And it's very difficult to get anything going here. Yeah, knight e2, bringing the knight over. The knight was not well placed on c3, looking at protected square. So this is an understandable decision. Carlsen went here. Yeah, he actually already could have taken on e4. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with that. But maybe Carlsen wasn't overly concerned here with this position, and maybe just wanted to play on a little bit and see what happens. Yeah, knight bd7. Yeah, the knight on b6 now is not that great with the pawns here. He'd rather wants to go here. This is why b4 was played by white. And here, yeah, here already c5 was possible to kill the game off, but it just trades down to nothing. The way it went, here c5 was played, and now we got mass exchanges. Yeah, you don't need to be a participant in this match to see that nothing happens. Yeah, they had this, I don't know, I think they only did this once and then agreed to a draw. Yeah, so this game was arguably even less interesting than the first one. But yeah, this is mostly due to Karjakin's play a little bit. If you take on e5 and so on, it's just not going to win a game. Yeah, I hope things get more interesting in the next game, third game, and Carlsen has white again. Thanks for watching, guys.